So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight you are in a safe, tosser-free space. Don't look at the people next to you. And any of you who've been to my shows before, I like to give stuff away. So someone came up to me at the bar earlier and said, I've still got that fuck that you gave me on the last show. We have bags, yes, actual bags for you to toss. But these bags here are for you to put tossers in as we go through the evening. How you get a bag is by identifying what kind of tossers you've actually had to deal with, okay? And obviously if you came with any tonight, don't out them. Lady with the white jacket there that brought her own bottle of wine, could you pass that back there? Your ex-wife, there we go, yeah. You stick up your hand as well, your ex-wife. So anyone else with a tosser ex-wife? His ex-wife. She was busy, yeah. Breadcrumbing is when you give just the right amount of interest to look like you like the person, but not the right amount of interest to actually set up a date. Yes, so anyone triggered by what I've just said and having memories of previous past dating, you need a bag. Because you can also vomit into this bag as well. It has multi-uses. Do you want a vomit bag? Oh, everyone needs a new job by looking at this. Anyone else needs a new job? Anyone work for a council? All right, over here. I know, I'm going to stand up to the evils of the council. And when they actually get anywhere near the council, there's usually just a very small person at a computer. And not even saying computer says no, this computer doesn't fucking work because we haven't got the budget to do anything about it. So here's the thing about anger, right? Anger is a really helpful emotion. It creates boundaries. And so most anger kind of flares up as a response to boundaries being invaded. How dare you? Get out of my way. And it dissipates really quickly. Anger that lingers is when we continue a thought and then add to it. And you know when you hear someone kind of like, they've come in at it and they're like, wah! And then you kind of say like something truthful or something, and they kind of like then back up, but they don't back up kind of like, oh, so sorry. They back up like, well, that was your fault. That was your fault, because if you hadn't picked up the phone, then none of that would have happened. You are the one, you're the one that, you misled me. In fact, actually, if you're a complete tosser, everyone is an idiot. Have you noticed the tossers online? Let me write something very condescending and quite patronising to you, because everybody reading it is all an idiot. You know, and there's a thing called the disinhibition effect. Well, that went deep quickly, didn't it? Yes, it was a comedy show, but now everyone's kind of going, Christ. I'm discovering all of these things about my inner twatness that I never knew existed. How many of you have to pretend you like somebody because they're a colleague? By show of hands. How many of you have to pretend that you like somebody because they're a family member? Your kids. If you've ever had your power taken away from you, or you think you haven't got any power, this is the thing that will trigger you into behaviour that you might say, it doesn't seem like me. And it probably isn't you. The amygdala, part of your fight and flight responses, is the bit that you go into when you feel triggered. I love the word triggered. I love it. So I think that triggered gets bounded around an awful lot without much explanation. But it's basically when somebody comes and kicks one of your insecurities in the ghoulies. You can tell if you've been triggered by something from your past, because something happens and you have a massive reaction to it. You've made a typo. No, I never fucking knew how to spell it in the first place. It's not a typo, it's a mistake. And it's the way that they go, you've made a little typo. Like you've made a little pebble poo. You know, come over. No, you've made a little typo. I'll just take some of your life force. Because they've devalued you, they've lowered your value. Meanwhile, they walk away thinking that their value has raised. My job's more important than yours. Look at the size of my fucking headphones. That's how much I need to concentrate. They're bigger than the entirety of my entire head. is anyone triggering you into that sense of disempowerment, you come right back at them with any level of power that you've possibly got, which looks like this. Well, thanks for your thoughts, Sandra. And for some unknown reason, I have to do this. I mean, it's not a petite 990. I don't know why, but it has to have a ribbon. It just does. So Thanks for your thoughts, Sandra. I think you found all that. With all due respect. What are the things you bloody hate hearing? All due respect is one of mine for me. What's one? Going forward. Fuck off. Going forward into what? Have you ever been CC'd into an email and you read down the thread and you find the one where you were thrown under the bus? Oh, that's really shocking. I had no idea that had happened, says your boss who told you to do it. Here's the question. Have you considered what your bus looks like? The one that you're thrown under? If you haven't, we really need to get this resolved. Because if you're going to be thrown under a bus, the bus is your choice. You get to choose what kind of bus. Now, I have the old Route Master. I like to show off a classic bus. It's red, clearly. If you can imagine what the bus looks like that you get thrown under, then you might be able to see it coming. Cockwomble is a new one that we've been... and it is confusing, though, cockwomble, because is that a womble with a cock on its head? Either type of cock that you may be thinking of is appropriate, because both are quite funny, like penis cock or an actual cock. Well, yeah, with that. Or is it someone who kind of wombles around picking up litter with a cock? I don't know. Cock wombles at it again. You can't help but just kind of laugh a bit. And if you laugh a bit, it moves you into the prefrontal cortex, which means that if you do then reread that email, they weren't being quite as big a twat. They could have been bigger, but they weren't being quite as big a twat as you thought them to be before. Someone's having a bad day, they'll go and have it somewhere else and they'll make someone else miserable. But it could be that I might be the healing thing. Could be. Could be. If you suddenly get that sort of like snippy little email or something that comes in and you think, if that person's feeling disempowered, what would it be like if I gave my power away willingly? But what if I just actually said something really nice back? What would happen then? And I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.